What up, everybody? This is July from Kickback Couture, and today I am bringing you the first episode of my sample series. Still playing around with names, but I think I'm gonna call it Bussin' Chops, something like that. Like, you gotta work on your chops, but it's actually sample chops. So, in order to download samples, it doesn't matter where you get it from. You can use MP3s, vinyl, however you prefer to do it. Once you have that file on your computer, to get it into Reason, you just drag the file. So I got this file from YouTube and I converted it into an MP3 with mp3converter.net. You can also use Off Liberty. That's what I usually use, but it wasn't working today, so I went to mp3converter.net. So this is what it looks like when you drag it into the sequencer. Besides my template stuff, it's just going to be this depending on what you have in your template. So I'm going to play it for you. So you notice when you grab this file or when you click on it, you have all these options up here. You could transpose it, change the pitch, change the level. So I'm going to change the level because it's a little loud in my headphones. My headphones are loud, so that makes sense. You have access to these fade ins and fade outs. Depending on how you do your sample, you probably want those if you're doing really intricate chops. So just as an example, I'm going to chop the beginning of this song and loop it to show you the process of that. Because I do most of my sampling in the sequencer, I don't use Kong, I don't use Rex. I've recently got into using Serato a lot from my sample beats, and I will also demonstrate that. But what I'm going to do is cut out the silence. So the first slice, since Reason automatically slices everything, is going to be at the beginning. And then the next one is here where the audio actually starts. So I'm going to split at slice. Then I'm just going to click on this and delete it. I'm going to move this down to 0. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, pressing G. And I'm going to turn my loop off, pressing L, and play through the sample to where I want to cut it off at, which is right where that hi-hat started. So I'm going to zoom in there and click on this tool right here to here. So that's where the hi-hat starts. I'm going to grab my my clicker, whatever it's called, and split at slices here. And I'm going to get rid of this part because I don't want that part. I've already listened to the song completely, so I know what it is. So after I have this part, you can edit the slices more if you want. If you wanted to put it into Rex or Kong, you could delete these slices using the eraser, and you could just put your own slices in it. It's totally flexible for you. So the next thing I would do is stretch this. So I'm holding down Option or Alt, same thing, on a Mac, and I'm going to drag this to match my loop. And now I'm going to play it. It's still loading over here, so you want to make sure that it's done loading. As you can hear, it's fast. So let's say I'd rather have it slower. What I'm going to do is just make sure that the loop is even, by the way. 8 increments of 4 is a good point to start. It depends on how long your sample is, so make sure you're counting the bars in your samples. So let's see how this sounds. It's still loading again. Now that sounds too slow to me, so I'm just going to raise my tempo. So I like it at about 120. And excuse the really slow sample. This is the first thing I saw and I just downloaded it. So you could change the pitch as I said before. So you could go all the way to the extreme and do like some Kanye stuff, or you can go all the way down and do some low end sample stuff. So we're gonna see what this sounds like. Alright, now let's see what this sounds like. That's Kanye, alright. Of course, Kanye will have some super intricate chops, but that's the pitch he goes to. And you could go low, and you could drop it to wherever you want. Now, one thing I also do, before I even actually drag into the sequencer, or even after sometimes, I use a free software called Key Finder to find the key of my samples. In this case, I wouldn't use NNXT or anything like that because the NNXT works with short samples. You could also use Serato if you own Serato, but I wanted to do this for people who might not have Serato. So you would just hit Run Batch Analysis, and then it'll detect what it is. So it's in E, which is probably E major. So I would know to program the rest of my melodies in E major. So since you've seen how I did my sample, I'll go ahead and show you how I might begin to start my drums. I won't finish the whole beat. This is just an example of how you can get started and go from dragging the sample in, manipulating it, and so on. So actually, before I even get to my drums, I'll show you a few more things you could do. You could filter the low end of the sample out. Since you're going to be adding drums, it's going to be more low end frequency on top of that, and you don't want all that building up on each other. However, you might want to keep it in and just cut it down a little bit, which you would do by turning that off, shelving it. You could just turn it down however you want. Make sure your low end is right. So I'm gonna kind of play off of what the original song was doing. Gonna pick a different snare out of my kit. Let's go with this one. And of course, just make sure your drums fit the sound of the sample. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. One thing to keep in mind, if you decide to pitch shift a sample, remember the original pitch, and then when you're programming your accompanying melodies, make sure you transpose it in unison. So like if it was at E minor and I went down 4 intervals, then I'm going to end up at C. So just try to count that. Also, another thing, when you're transposing your samples, make sure you check the stretch and transpose type, because if it was on vocal for this type of sample, it wouldn't sound right. So always make sure you check that. Some may work better than others depending on your sample. So this is melody, and this will probably sound weird too. I'm pretty sure it will, because there's vocals in it. Yeah, see how the vocal kind of sounded weird? Let's see what happens when I keep it at the natural pitch. That one doesn't sound that bad, but the all around is probably the best for this one. Alright, so I laid the foundation of this beat. After I've done that, I usually go on to finish the beat. Add a bass line, some more melodies, something to weave in and out and keep the track moving. So this is what I have. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a like, comment, subscribe, and most definitely let me know what you would like to see next. It's all culture.